talking all things theatre and events.
A really big thing that I've looked at recently is community engagement. So I come from a rural community.
And so I thought, well, do you know what? The baton was there and I picked it up and I've never looked back, really.
Like, stay true to yourself and don't try and change who you are or what you are.
The Stage Is Yours podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Stage Is Yours podcast. With me, your host Cal Graham, joined as always by producer Dan, and we're talking all things theatre and events. Today we're joined by Aiden Houston, actor, singer and podcast host, talking the current state of the industry, challenges and new graduate faces coming out of drama school, and a lot of other theatre related chat too. Aiden Houston, the stage is yours. Aiden Houston, how are you, man?
Mate, I'm all right.
It's been a
crazy year, hasn't it? 100%.
Yeah, it's nuts.
100% crazy year. I'm not doing too bad. Theatre wise, I'm like I've had to take a step back. I won't lie to you. I've had to take a little bit of a step back. Back in March, I was kind of like at that point where I'd graduated. I was like 2 years in now, and I was kind of just not getting what I wanted. I wasn't getting into rooms that I wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And it really started to affect me, like, mentally. I was just like, I don't like, because you just start to question every single thing that you do. Why do I look like this? Why am I doing this? And then you're obviously seeing the successes of other people spread across the news, spread across Twitter. It does get on top of you. So I kind of took a hiatus really at the start of lockdown. I left my agent and was like, they're a great agent, absolutely great agent, but it just wasn't getting me in the room for the stuff that I kind of wanted to be in for. So I just kind of said, like, thank you guys, but like, I'm going to take a bit of time. And I mean, really, it's only been in the last couple of months that I've really started to like get back on board with the singing and start doing my warm-ups and all that stuff again.
Yeah. So in a weird way, lockdown actually probably came at a weird good moment for you to have that little bit of a break, chance to kind of just
100%. Yeah, I needed that. I definitely need that break. I feel better, and I think any performer who's feeling that way, because it does just get on top of you. Like, I mean, I had, like, the thing is when you're graduating, you have this idea of what the future is going to look like, and most people are realists. You understand that. It's not just going to be, I'm not just going to like roll into like the biggest shows in the West End and like get auditions everywhere I want. And you know, like, I'm going to have audition for Ben Elton. I'm going to have an audition for Andrew Lloyd Webber and all this. It just doesn't work like that. Like, and you have to think about your whole cohort, your whole drama school cohort. There's going to be one or two people that are going to get that opportunity. And it's hard to deal with that. Like, that's the hardest thing. Coming to the realization that it might not be you, and if you wanted to make it you have to work so hard. I think that's yeah,
absolutely. I think it's always been competitive, and I think it's arguably from a fresh graduate standpoint, it's almost more so now than ever, because it's not just drama schools that are offering courses and stuff. I think you've got, I use the word normal university, kind of doing that.
Yeah.
Not like kind of a one that you would normally go for something else if you're going to go do engineering, something like that, also offering kind of decent performing arts training. Courses.
Yeah. It's just it's strange. I think it used to be those main 4 or 5 schools, you know. They're churning out basically every actor. Yeah. And in the last couple of years, I think people have come to realise that there's like actually a massive talent pool of people out there that are able to do these things. But for me, the biggest issue is you just can't get those people. Those people don't have access to the industry. And I think like that's one of the biggest things of our industry is there's so many people that don't have access to it. I mean, even I feel sometimes on the outskirts of our industry because I'm not involved in that I mean, recently I've had to leave Twitter because I'm just done with it. But all the people just constantly, they're just talking about themselves. They're talking about what shows they want to do. They're promoting themselves all the time. It's just really, really intense, and you get lost in it all. And you think, where am I in here? Where am I in this? Do you know?
I think you're right. It's very tough to be. I think it's very much the performer's side of things that is obviously like that. Trying to sell yourself is a weird phrase to use, but of trying to make yourself stand out in what is a very saturated market. But I think finding the industry is more diverse now than it ever has been in terms of where you can go with it. But obviously everyone still has that goal of what is seen as the kind of pinnacle of the industry, really, in that West End. So it is really tough. Yeah, I think it is really tough, but I think it's having a realistic kind of view on it, really, of understanding that it's a really tough go.
It's fickle.
To get there. Yeah, and it's a really kind of, I hate to use the phrase right time, right place kind of thing that you just don't know it that.
Right, I mean, it so is though.
Yeah.
I mean, as well, you can be moments away. I mean, my best kind of experience this whole thing was I was up for Christophe at Disneyland Paris playing. It wasn't like a walking around character role. They were doing like this kind of like immersive theatre style Frozen show where the people, the audience would kind of be walking through this kind of frozen scenes, and you would get to see snapshots of each character doing certain things. So you'll get the Elsa by the castle and etc. And there was a lot of guys in that audition. I got down to the last 4 people, and to the point where I had like the makeup on, I had the wig on, they're trying the costumes on you. And at that point you think, oh my God, I'm so close right now. I'm so close. And you're being let down by things that are completely out of your control. I think once you get to a certain point, it's nothing to do with how good you are. It's like everyone who comes into the audition room is expected to be a certain level of good. Yeah. And if you're not, that's when you get let go. And then the second round is kind of like, all right, who's paying attention to this text? Who's paying attention to the context of this piece? And that's another massive thing. And then really by the last round, all they're looking at is who does he look right next to? How big is this puppet that he's working with? What's his chest size? I mean, that was one thing that I noticed when I was having the fitting for Disney. It was they were measuring, they started measuring, they measure everything, literally every morsel of your body. They measure ears, everything. It's crazy. So they measure your head. They're going down. Obviously they come down to your shoulders, and this is where I like to keep my view, because below I'm just like, yeah, all right, like I've not paid massive care, but yeah. So obviously I'm a little bit, I've got a layer of love, let's say that. Yeah,
love that phrase.
And like when she was doing my, she's got it's funny because she's got the old tape measure, the ones that don't retract, like a proper like going for
old
it.
School. Yeah.
And I can see her circling all these ones. When she gets down to my chest, it's like a big circle, and then my tummy, it was a big circle, and I was like, oh fuck this, I don't fit in the costume, do I? But I didn't get it anyway. But it was that was like the coolest audition that I had. I feel like I'm just like going off on tangents. We like start on a conversation and I'm like,
mate, it's grand. It's what it's supposed to, like. Like I said, it's the whole point of this podcast is just like, it's nice, relaxed conversation. You don't know where it's going to go, and actually sometimes the best points are made when you're not necessarily thinking about what I'm asking, what you're chatting, and it's just kind of where it leads. And I think you raise a very good point that for a lot of roles and things, certainly within the industry, it is so competitive and it does unfortunately just come down to what the producer director wants the person to look like.
Exactly.
You can be, you could eventually end up, like I said, in a room where there's 3 or 4 equally talented people who've obviously worked ridiculously hard to get to where they are. But then, like I said, that last moment comes down to the tiniest little little things really, which is kind of well, I mean, you say it yourself, it's hard to kind of realize and take at times because sometimes
Yeah, and I mean,
there's
like,
nothing you can. It's out of your control.
yeah, I mean, you're working as well. So I do have this thing. I think no actor would like to admit this, but it's definitely true. When you go into a room full of people for an audition, and especially it will be specifically the ones where you're with everyone else, so you're not in the audition room by yourself. You're with 30 other people that look exactly the same as you, and you're all sitting against the mirror, and you've got to watch every person go up and do their thing before you have a go, kind of. And like that is always terrifying, but there's always this, like, I love that bit where a person gets up and they kind of fuck it. It just makes you feel better. Specifically, I remember from the Frozen audition, obviously Christoph's got the reindeer, Sven, and we were doing the reindeers are better than people song for the audition. And I watched this guy, and he comes up, and obviously the start of the song is with the reindeer. Obviously, Disney didn't bring a reindeer for us, so there was no reindeer.
Yeah.
You were just talking to air, yeah. Start singing, and there's obviously talking. The first bit, Christoph plays the voice of Sven as well, so you're talking to yourself, but you kind of have to imagine that he's there, and you're like, every one of them's bad except you, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I watched this guy, literally, he started, so he did the voice thing with Sven, and then as soon as that was done, he literally he stood up and just walked off and was like marching around the room, and I was like, where's the reindeer? I was like, what's going on with the reindeer? Like, people don't think about, like, stuff that they do. I thought, how have you possibly come and you're literally singing a song about a reindeer, and like there was people walking around the room paying literally no attention to the reindeer. I got through that audition because I started with the reindeer, and I stayed with the reindeer the whole time. I talked to the reindeer the whole time, and like that's another thing that people, like, I just get confused when people do it. It's like you go in this hard and you don't think about all the tiny little details that people are going to pick up on. That is the one thing that that I knew when I was walking in. I was like, they'll snatch people straight away if they don't even like pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing in auditions, I think. It's like, be switched on and have that thought that no one else is having.
Yeah, try and give you something that makes you stand out, that little bit of a difference of that, and that you pay that attention to detail. I think it's it is tough. Like I said, it's not, having never been through it, I don't think I could. I think it takes a type of person to kind of be able to go into auditions and keep trying, especially when things aren't going your way. I'd keep doing that. I think there's a certain mentality that comes with that, because I've said it a few times. I was like, I couldn't do it, not only because I can't sing, but very much from the standpoint of, it is tough in that just the competitive environment that you'll constantly find yourself in.
But the break was needed, man.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
nice. I didn't do any singing. I didn't even really, like, obviously I'm a big musical theatre fan, so I've got like a playlist and a half on my phone on my Spotify account, and I just fucking took it off, man. I was just like, let's like take that off my phone for a bit. I just had a complete break, and it's been actually so nice. And I even feel, coming back to it now, I feel kind of fresh-faced, kind of like, I feel like when you come out of drama school, you're trying to be this person. You're trying to be someone else. And the sooner you realise that the only person that is worth being in acting, if you're an actor, is be as truest to yourself as humanly possible. I was never going to be the kind of actor that was on Twitter writing about my life 24/7. I don't like that. It's like, like people will write their whole day. They will narrate their whole day to Twitter. They will talk about this. They will talk about that. And I've been in an argument on Twitter, with someone very, very, very famous who was in Heathers, who was the main character in Heathers. She shouted at me, and I got in lots of trouble for it, and I had all these people coming in on me, and it's terrifying. And how do you exist in a place like that where everything is so, I mean, they are evil, mate, on Twitter. These people, some of these people are like crazy, messaging me. A fresh graduate, literally a fresh graduate, when this happened, I was just out of drama school, and I had people messaging me like, "You're going to get blacklisted. You're never going to work again. How dare you say this?" Like, I didn't even say anything unreasonable. Like, I said something completely and utterly fair that people didn't like, and I was just like, "Whoa!" And I've taken a step away from that. I've realised that I wouldn't want to be, if I had that fame behind me, I wouldn't want to be writing, "Oh, I'm just going to the chocolate shop. I'm just having a shit. I'm just having a cup of tea," like on my Twitter, and like having people reply like, "Oh my God, what tea? Is it Uradang tea? Oh my God, that's great. I'm going to buy some right now." Like, why would you want everyone to know everything about you?
Yeah, every little detail.
Right.
I do find it weird. I find Twitter a strange medium, and there are, like you said, there's a lot of people in there who are just there to troll other people and kind of try and
just
make
there to fuck with
drama. Yeah, and I don't think they understand the kind of grander scheme of it. And don't get me wrong, there's obviously a place in kind of the new way media and stuff is with kind of vlogs and all of this sort of stuff where people literally film their day, and I don't particularly understand it, but there's obviously a market for it. But yeah, when it's a video is a very different thing to just someone, 140 characters max narrating their day. I find it a little bit weird, and it's tough, but also living with that kind of scrutiny on your life as well is tough.
Yeah, I think there used to be, just before the kind of like big social media age hit, there used to be a way that you could rise above social media. So you've got certain actors that will tell you every single thing that is happening, and they will moan and they will complain and they will write to companies openly on their Twitter account at prep. You did this happened at one of your stores today. It's disgusting. And there used to be a certain level of the fact that you could be on Twitter and you could not get involved in any of that stuff, and you can like kind of rise way above it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good example of someone that has Twitter but doesn't really use it. I guess a good example might be like David Attenborough.
Yeah.
I mean, not
he's now come off Insta.
Yeah, he came off of it, didn't he? Yeah, but
did 9 posts.
He would never dipped. He was like, "Fuck this." But like, there used to be this kind of essence that you could, no matter what was happening online, you could stay online and you could stay in that universe, in that world, and kind of just be like, "I can ignore it. It doesn't matter. I don't. It doesn't matter what's happening with your day." And you could kind of be the bigger man in the essence that I would put it. Now I think in the last 2 years, social media has popped off so much that the only way to rise above it, and actually kind of, if you don't want to be a part of it, the only way to actually like rise above it is to just not be part of it at all.
I think the social media and online kind of world that there is now is both like an amazing tool, but also is an absolute minefield where it's full of people who take great pleasure in just kind of causing beef, finding things to have an issue with, and just enjoy the drama that they're creating. And I think it's both, like I said, I think it's both a blessing and a bit of a what word I'm looking for? Yeah, yes. I think it just puts an added pressure and stuff onto people and things, and it can be used when it can be such a positive thing going forward. Like I said, I did a podcast with Dan Doyle, and he was very much talking about TikTok and the way that's now just become this huge thing for
Remy the Ratatouille.
Like this massive thing of that, where people are trying to put out creating, trying to get spotted and find things, and it's creating these artists that live in that world that is purely online. So I think
I think Remy the Ratatouille musical is actually a good thing that I just wanted to shout out, because I'm not on TikTok. My girlfriend
No, neither am
loves TikTok, but I can't. I just won't download it because I can't have another thing on my phone where I can sit on the sofa and be like,
just scrolling mindlessly. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do it. So basically, she's like, load me in on all of this, like Remy the Ratatouille musical. So I don't know if you know about it. Do you know?
No, not really. Again, not in that TikTok
Alright.
world, so I have not.
Shit, man.
I'm like,
It's quite big. So basically, people can write anything on there, and then you can use that audio. Do you get that kind of bit? Yeah. So basically, some little theatre kids, they started writing this like Ratatouille, like Disney's Ratatouille the musical. And it's blown up massively, and now you've got all of these people writing songs, you've got people doing duets, people choreographing the dances, you've got people making like small scale sets for it, people making playbills and advertising campaigns for the show, and like when I was thinking about that, I was like, you know what, that is fucking awesome, because that's a next generation of actors that are like trying to push themselves out there. And that's what I find probably the most frustrating about this whole kind of industry, is that you're either out there or you're not, and you fucked it kind of thing. Like, I know so many talented people that have had not a chance, and they have to do stuff that they just hate, like pulling pints and picking up glasses. You know, in all these jobs you get spoken to like a piece of crap, like it just wears you down. And there's all these talented people, and then I go and I watch something and I'll look at people and I think, how did you even get on this? How did you even get in this show? You're not even that, like, some of these people aren't even that good. Like, they completely unfulfilling. And I just think, how does it all come about?
Yeah, I think it is. It's like you said, it comes back to that thing of almost right place, right time, right producer, right director, who just decide that in that moment, that's the right person or the person that they want at that particular time. And it's, if you're not in that room at the right point, it is tough, and it is such a saturated market at the moment. And absolutely agree that it's great that these platforms are there and that there's so many platforms now potentially to do that. But again, I feel like it's very quickly going to become saturated. I mean, I was chatting to Dan and he's talking TikTok and I'm like, Dan, mate, I don't know anything about this. I don't understand it. I'm not involved in that world. And it becomes a very kind of a thing like that. But you see, and he's got good stories of stuff coming out of it, that he's got artistic friends who's got videos that have been seen by like tens of thousands of people that otherwise would never have gotten that kind of gotten out there. So I think there is definitely some good that can come out of it, but I think it's your point of what's happened on Twitter, I think, is again potentially what will happen with TikTok, in the sense of that it will get, there's as much as there's the equal great thing of people being seen, there's also that flip side of it of people kind of who aren't there to
who aren't there to just there to stir shit kind of thing, and
cause problems. So
exactly.
It is tough, but I think, like I said, I think in a weird way, the pandemic's been great for a lot of us in having that bit of time away and a bit of break. I think for myself, I think it was the first time we're talking probably my working life, I've had any kind of time off, like the last 10 years, where I could go, it's not just like a week's holiday, or it's not. And even when I go on holiday, I don't go and sit on a beach and stuff. I go and do things. I go and doing that. I think so it's kind of, it is one of those in that sense. So it's actually time. So it's not been a bad thing in that sense, but I think it's also made you realize quite what that kind of life means to you and stuff like that, and how much other parts of your life rely on that working world and where you are. So I think it has been good in some ways. I think we've all needed a little bit.
Like there's just this, like, you come into, you kind of like, you're forced, because you spend so much time doing nothing, you're forced to put your whole life into perspective. And sometimes it happens naturally, and sometimes it's kind of like, I mean, I kind of sat around for a while during the first lockdown. I sat around for a while, and then it was like 2 months, and then I had that life slap, and I was like, I can't sit around doing like fuck all. Like, you get into a place where you're like, because you're actually physically stuck at home.
Yeah.
you start to like think about how you're actually physically stuck in life and what you need to do in order to get to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I kind of had like a big like thing this year, just wanting to like start a career and just get like a proper like decent job with some decent money and work normal hours. Like, you know, I can't do what I love to do. I can't do the job that I trained for and the job that I'm passionate about. And so that I have to do something that isn't centrally really what I want to do.
Yeah, but it's always that thing of like, you're like, yes, it's a chance to kind of do that. And I think that's been the case for a lot of people, certainly within the arts, that they've had to find something else to kind of keep it going. And for me, it was doing something that's somewhat creative and somewhat of doing that and try and just raise a bit of awareness.
Exactly. This podcasting has helped me out massively because it is, when you're creative, like you need an outlet. You have to have some sort of creative outlet at any point, at any time. Absolutely. It doesn't matter no matter what kind of creative you are, you're an actor, you're a director, you do the lights, you do FX, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's just like that moment where you're just like, you kind of feel comfortable, like. And I started my podcast with my best mate, Dave. We started it back in April. We're always like calling each other up and chatting complete shit about movies and casting and TV shows and all this kind of stuff. And it was April. We were just like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And now we're like 25 episodes down the line. We've had like 1,000 listens on our podcast. We've actually got a cohort of little people that listen to our podcast every week. And like that's given me like my spice back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm excited now to push my podcast and see where that goes and get involved with other things. And I've even been more interested in the kind of like broadcasting side of the creative. Yeah. Like what would it be like to be like running a radio show? I quite like to get I like what like kind of end goal for my podcast is to kind of get to Fubar Radio. That's what Dave want. We want an hour slot on Fubar Radio. That would be like the key. But yeah, like the creative outlet, the podcast is basically the only thing that everyone can do, isn't it? Because all you need is a laptop and a mic.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot to do, and it's okay. Yeah, to grow it and stuff like that is one thing, and you've got to kind of stick at it. But I think it's been certainly for me over the last sort of 6-8 weeks that it's kind of
you've been
been a
slapping
thing.
These podcasts out as well.
It is, and I'm like, I would, if this could become a thing that takes off and becomes something else, then I'd be like, absolutely great, sound amazing. And for me, it's my one again. It's just that you've got an end goal of where you want it to be, and if it's something that you're passionate about, it's not something I ever thought I'd do. Genuinely don't think I ever thought I'd kind of do it. I chatted about it with friends and stuff, but yeah, it's fine, but never thought I'd get around to doing it. So it's but mate, plug your podcast, go on, fire it in.
All right, Level Up with Aiden and Dave. It's a cheeky little podcast we got going. It's very comedy based, chatting shit about movies, but basically the key of it is that we make each other watch a movie that we haven't seen each week, and then each of us levels up that movie or TV show. So for example, I am a massive fan of Power Rangers.
Amazing.
David is a massive fan of Doctor Who. I hate Doctor Who. Dave hates Power Rangers. And so, you know, we force each other to watch bits, and then we just go in on each other's like basically favourite TV shows. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's great fun. Like, you should listen.
Absolutely.
Everyone should get on that.
Absolutely. I think, definitely. I think it is great. Like, it's a good laugh and having something to do that. And I think, like you said, it's that creative outlet for people in that. And I think it's amazing how something that you've always kind of been aware of and you never thought you'd do becomes that thing that actually, do you know what? Yeah, I'm really excited about this. It's great. And like firing bits and pieces out and kind of getting it out there. And yeah, it's great. Like I said, I enjoy it. And at the end of the day, like I said, just keep it relaxed, keep it chatting. And it's just nice to catch up with people. Like I said, we've not seen or spoken to each other for far too long.
5 years.
Like,
5 years. Like, it's been 5 years.
Exactly. But it's great. Like I said, it's just a chance to kind of chat, catch up, and yeah, if it helps people out
I
and kind
guess
of raise awareness to
I
it,
guess
great.
the frustrating thing is that, like, when you're creative, you just meet all these people. You go through life and you meet all of these people that you just like instantly get on with. Like, we always got on,
Yeah.
me and you. We always got on from the first rehearsal I ended up doing. It was kind of like, this guy's safe. Like, I'm gonna be able to side with this guy. You know what I mean? And you kind of meet people like that the whole time. And what I always find really strange, like, that was like the biggest thing about seeing Jake when I went to see a show at the Upper Palace that he was
Yeah.
spotlighting for. And like, he was just outside, and I was like, what the fuck? And then we had a drink, and it was like you meet all these people, and then you kind of like go and everyone goes in separate ways, and you're all doing different things, and you're all kind of like still in each other's lives. Like, you know, like, I still, like, we obviously have each other on social media, so I see what you're up to, I see where you're going, I see that you're working at Greenside again, I see what you're doing. I'm sure the boot is on the other foot as well. But like, I don't feel any different when I come back and speak to you. Like,
No, it's like
I don't really feel like I haven't seen you in 5 years. I just feel like, oh yeah, we did Rent, and now he's doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we were chatting just before, and it's like you go through these shows and experiences together, and we went through a very intense few months together of taking a show up to the Fringe and stuff like that. And you absolutely kind of form friendships and stuff that kind of, it doesn't matter that you've not seen each other for years and stuff. You can just chat and you get on, and
it ends up being set in stone, doesn't it? You kind of like, you make little groups of people, like, and you just kind of, it always stays like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I could meet you 10, 20 years down the line when we're literally all falling to pieces.
It's like, but yeah, it is mad how it all kind of chops and changes and jumps around. But you just got, like I said, we're finding ways to still be creative, find new things to do and be a part of.
Exactly. You just got to carry on going. You got to carry on going. Don't let it stop, I guess, is the main thing.
Absolutely.
Like, let it stop if you want to let it stop. Take a break, because that is fine. Like, if you need a break, like, you got to have that.
I think
break.
you've all got to have,
like,
at some point, I think, take some time for yourself, have a bit of time off, time to kind of chill, reset, relax, and just.
But it's like, it is mad. I mean, I know we've already kind of like brushed over it, but how much I've sat and thought about every single little detail of how the next kind of step in this, what is the next step for me going to be, that I'm not really sure. There's like loads of things I'd love to do. Like, I'd love to have my own Commitments tribute band, like a full band. Like, I would love that, backing singers, all the brass, like everything. I think that would be fantastic. There's that I'd like to do. You know, I love acting. I want to get back into acting, but I'm not sure where those opportunities are going to arise particularly, but I don't think I'm incapable of doing it. It's just where is it going to come next? I'm not really sure. And also marketing yourself. I feel like I had this idea, or drama school mold you into this kind of like idea that they have, and you go with it, you just run with it. And it comes down to literally everything: what songs you end up singing when you go into auditions, what you're talking about, what clothes you're wearing when you go into places. And you're kind of like made into this, I guess, Duracell bunny kind of vibe, where you're kind of the same as everyone else. And I kind of realised that in this time, and I've taken a step back again and kind of been like, who am I as an actor? I'm not that kind of person. I'm this kind of person. You know, like, when I look at my headshots, I'm like, do they really show me for me, or do they just show this kind of like this smolder that is worthy of a Big Brother character, or a romantic side character, but is that actually fully me? I feel like I'm a bit more lighthearted, a bit more funny, and I don't show that. You know, even in stuff down to like the voice reel and show reels, you know, you've got all this like really tense, like, yes, I love you kind of stuff. And actually, the thing that I think people enjoy about my acting and my performances is the fact that I'm kind of like just kind of laid back, and I kind of just talk it out. And it's understanding that kind of thing. You really got to like look at yourself. It does take some time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's grand. I think it's a really kind of good point in terms of, I think everyone needs that little bit of time to reflect, but yeah, kind of be who you want to be and be true to yourself. Don't try and be, I think it is very difficult when you're in that drama school mode potentially. And it's, yeah, they do kind of, obviously they develop you trying to think what the industry wants, but that can then be very
That's what
tricky.
they do. Drama schools, they teach you their way of how people get things done. You know, Arts Ed teach the Arts Ed way, and it works. And they've still got people in every single year. They've got people going into the West End. You know, Mount View, they've got a system, and it works. Like, and they create, you know, all of the ensemble, like loads of. I mean, you've done the West End. You know, like you open the programs, don't you? And you look through those cast lists. It's bang. It's Lambda. It's RADA. It's Arts Ed. It's Mount View. It's GSA. It's those same things every time. On the ensemble taking it up, and it's like they're creating what they want to be. They're not always creating original, unique actors. They're creating people that can go into shows, and like don't lose yourself in that. I guess try not to lose yourself in that.
Well, mate, we'll jump into the kind of ending of what we do on the pod, and we ask everyone the same 3 questions, and it's always quite interesting to see kind of people's response and where they go. So the first one is, if you had a dream show gig that you could create, that you would work on, show you want to be in, whatever it is, what would that be? If you're like, for you personally, would it be like?
I'm gonna have to go with a theatre company that I've had in my head for years now, literal years. So the idea behind this theatre company is that it will be in London. It will be a theatre company in which the only way that you're allowed to audition for the shows there is if you are not the centre of attention in the West End. I've noticed a lot of stuff through this lockdown where it's just the same people doing the same concert, like literally every weekend. There was just the same 10 people doing the same thing. And what I was talking about earlier about how there's all these talented people that don't get an opportunity. A theatre company that's created, that puts on the show and does 6-week runs of it. So you've got say it will be like rolling all the time. So you've got like a 6-week show rehearsing, a 6-week show on. When that one finishes, the next 6-week show starts, and then the rehearsals go again and again and again. And you'd have performers who are graduates, performers who have been out of the business, performers who graduated 10 years ago and never got their opportunity, and actually talented people. And these people, they give the performance of a lifetime when they put their mind to it, because that is what they want. You can feel the passion, and I'd love to create this space where you can pay actors full wages for work that they've done and a show that they've put on. I just love that idea. I'd love to be able to give someone like me £400 a week, and say, you earn that £400 for acting this week, and we've had a great show. And I mean the full shebang as well. We get the rights, you get the band, they get paid, you get a nice set. The kind of place where cast and directors and producers are all coming to the shows on opening night because they want to snatch up that fresh meat, that brand new girl that's blowing everyone away with this one song, and this brand new guy that's never been seen before and doesn't look conventionally like every other person, every other bloke on the West End. That's what if I had £1 million, that's what I'd do. Do you know what I mean? I'd make that space where I'm paying actors who actually want to act.
Yeah, absolutely. I think giving that platform for those that fall through the gaps and that don't.
Exactly. That's the perfect
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that idea. Love that. Second one is very, very random, and we get some very interesting answers. Your go-to post-show snack. What's that one thing that every time you finish a show, it's like you kind of find yourself, that's the one that would do that. For me, it's, finishing a show or a gout or something like that, little bit of a sugar rush. There's always Malwam in my toolbox. as a production guy, always. I mean, I did my toolbox for the first time in 6 months the other day, and there was still malware in it. I was like, always.
Oh, mate, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I'm quite a big stickler for. I've got a really bad sweet tooth for fizzy drinks. Okay. Dr. Pepper and original Coke specifically.
Yeah.
And those two drinks save me on quite a permanent basis. They just sort me the fuck out. After a show and you're literally, you got nothing left.
The adrenaline's gone.
I specifically remember feeling like this at the end of Rent, because Rent is such a massive show. It's such a massive, massive show, and it's so emotional as well. Yeah, like that. Yeah, and so you get to the end and you're sitting on that table singing "There's Only Us."
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting in the middle and thinking, fuck me, I am absolutely wrecked. When you get into the dressing room, you get in that fridge and you get that sweet cold can of Dr. Pepper or Coke. It just when you drink you open a can of fizzy drink and drink it straight away, it literally burns down your throat, cold. But it feels good, and you're just kind of there ugh.
Yeah,
that's what
sugar boost once the adrenaline's gone.
Bang on.
Absolutely swell. Grand. And final question, and could get a little bit deep. I mean, we've touched on quite a few things here. So what's the one thing that you know now that you wish you'd known when you were first starting out? That one bit of advice that if you could go back and give yourself when you were first starting out.
It's just going to have to be a deep Disney vibe. It's just going to have to be the one piece of advice is stay true to yourself and don't try and change who you are or what you are in order to fit in to this crazy, stupid industry. This crazy, stupid industry will if it's meant to be, it will happen. And yeah, I mean, I kind of already knew that, but sometimes you need to hear stuff like that. You need to hear someone say it. Do you know what I mean? You need to hear someone say it to properly take it on. Don't try and make yourself into a carbon copy of what you're hearing. Don't try and make yourself sound like Ben Platt when you're singing, because that's not I don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. People want to hear original. They want to hear uniqueness. They want to hear why that character works is because you're doing it. Big shout out to Ben Platt. He's a fantastic singer. Yeah, he is very, very good, and he originated that Dear Evan Hansen role. I've not even seen Dear Evan Hansen or listened to it the whole way through, but he embodied that part. And now every single person who stepped up to the plate and done that has done it exactly the same as him and copied him. And it's you need to find your own avenue in all of this, because that's the only path that's worth taking. Following other people is bullshit. Don't bother. We'll end it there.
Yeah. I love that, man. That's great. No, it's a great note to end on, being true to yourself and stuff. It is great. Mate, this has been an absolute blast.
Mate, yes, I agree.
Thank you for listening to the Stage Is Yours podcast. Want to know more? Then head over to all of our socials. You can find us at Stage Is Yours Pod, where you can catch a cheeky glimpse at some of our upcoming guests, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure that you never miss an episode. This has been the Stage Is Yours podcast, talking all things theatre and events. Until next time.